Welcome back to Word to the Mother. Still to come is wine time, but first, let's rejoin our chat with Richard. Who are you closest to, do you think, on set?
Closest to on set? That's an interesting one because obviously I've known Kate Garraway for the longest, along with Ben, so we have a tremendous affinity because we've got that shared history.
Yeah.
But Susanna, Piers I've known for years because he's been part of the industry for years.
Okay, well,
So we have great banter.
You are so good at handling Piers, and I know you're a huge professional.
I'll tell you anything you want. Piers would.
Yeah.
No, I get asked this all the time. So the question I used to get asked all the time was, what's Lorraine Kelly really like?
Yeah.
Now it's, how do you put up with Piers, or what's Piers like?
Yeah.
What I've loved about Piers joining the show, and this is certainly the general consensus on the show, is it feels very live. I don't think you should be afraid to polarise people at that time in the morning, whether it's Steve McDonald, whether it's wheelie bins, and whatever your politics is, generate a heat, have a discussion, and get it out there. And Piers is fantastic at that. I know he can be very bombastic sometimes, that's part of his charm, but I've known him for a long time, so the banter is real.
Yeah.
And Piers, as with everyone else on the show, respects what the other person brings to the table. So we're just like one hugely dysfunctional family.
Yes, and the newspaper editor in him is going to respect what anyone brings to the table.
And Susanna always says, you know, he'll get hold of an interview and he'll shake that politician in particular down until he gets the answer.
That's
which is great.
Generous thing to say,
So, you know, you don't want to make people uncomfortable first time in the morning, but you know, first thing in the morning I should say, but you absolutely, generating a discussion, and the proof's in the pudding, the show's doing extremely well. So that's great for everybody involved.
Yeah,
and as I say, and don't underestimate the platform that can be for, you know, people who hadn't been heard before. That's
very true. That is a really good point. And he is very, very good with that, especially with his newspaper background. Are there any points where you think, I'm going to slap him?
I did.
You did, yes.
I hit him.
Yes.
I hit him.
Yeah.
And it was a couple of days before the Christmas party. And it wasn't because I hit him, because that's not to be encouraged, obviously.
No, you didn't.
But because of where my microphone was, even my mother thought I'd leathered him. So just to explain the context for those people who didn't see it, I was talking about Star Wars, which I love, right? Yeah. Piers can't stand it. He's very vocal about it.
Yeah. Really? Piers Morgan, very vocal about something. I find that very hard to believe.
Who knew? But he's particularly passionate about how much he hates Star Wars, never seen it, doesn't get it at all. So we were talking about the most recent Star Wars release, and then he kept talking and talking and talking. So I just walked away from him and carried on the chat on my own down the barrel of another camera.
Yes.
At which point he leapt up. Now, I don't mind you clipping what I'm saying. Don't cross my shot. He crossed my shot. So, because I care that much. And so I just took the back of the script, and you know, as I say, the sound of the microphone, it sounded like I'd walloped him.
Oh, that was funny.
So obviously the papers were all over it, broke the internet, and they love all that around the show, don't they? All the sizzle and stuff like that. And generally it's favourable. Yeah. And when we went to the Christmas party, we have a Christmas lunch with the presenters and editors every year. And he said, I've turned you into a national hero, mate.
Oh, he's done that, hasn't he?
Yeah, of course, he turned it around. I hadn't even thought about that, but he absolutely made it about himself. Oh. But I love it because it feels live. Yeah. You know, I love the banter. You never know what you're going to get when you go in every morning, aside from obviously the news content, good or bad. But that's the fantastic thing about a show like Good Morning Britain, that it does feel live. What
do you do, Richard, then? What's your kind of dream way of relaxing at the weekend?
I love just pottering around the neighbourhood. We've got a fantastically dog-friendly neighbourhood. We've got a great local, all the normal stuff. Yeah. And I go to the gym. If I'm going to squeeze it in, I always have to go straight after the show.
Do you?
Yeah, and I do enjoy that.
Gym
Even though I
selfie?
came to it late in life. You know, because you know what it's like when you were at school, if you were off games.
Yeah.
Seriously, you know, if you weren't picked for the team, you know, then you didn't have any passion for sport.
I remember you saying if the ball came anywhere near you,
if the ball came anywhere near me. The most humiliating thing was I was doing a charity football match with Rod Stewart's wife Penny down at Stamford Bridge, the Chelsea ground. I was in the team. It was the girls' team. It was for charity. And then I was in the locker room, or whatever you lads call it, changing rooms. Yeah. And I was getting into my football shirt.
Were you doing the contortionate things as I used to do?
I was a bit blousier then, so yeah. I needed a top with a bit of give in it, thank you. I always come in for the warm welcome. And I put the top on, and this chap turned to me, I think it was probably from Steps, said, you haven't played football before, have you, Richard? I went, no, actually I haven't. And he said, the number goes on the back. It's a true story. And if that wasn't bad enough, they then made me do a 3-legged race with Brian Dowling, the then Big Brother winner, across Stamford Bridge. I said, so they've tied me and Brian Dowling together. I said, it's like being back at school again. Why don't you just throw rocks at us as well? I mean, it was unbelievable. It's like being in this arena, being humiliated on this grand scale. But Brian and I know each other well, not that well, but we know each other well enough to have been sporty about it.
Straight to YouTube after we finish this chat.
So it was, unfortunately, it wasn't on telly. I think it made the cut for Hello magazine, but it was all for charity. But it's that classic example when you're a kid and you're not into it.
And how do you feel about aging in this industry? In this industry.
Do you know, it's funny you should say that, because friends of mine in Texas said, well, Richie, you're going to be fine. And I said, well, that's a Texas accent. But I said, well, why? I said, well, in television, men they love with old cojones and they love new boobs. So I'm thinking, right, and of course it's awful, but it sort of sums it up. Like, obviously for men it's a little bit easier in television. It shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, it's true.
But no one's ever tuned in for my looks, so I don't worry about decomposing on camera.
Well, you haven't aged, bizarrely.
I can give you the number.
I would love that
You'd love that number.
Richard Arnold, thank you. I'll have a kiss now as well.
Have a kiss. Okay, you're wearing a bra this time, though, right?
Yeah, and a feel. Oh, mwah, thank you. Thank you, Richard Arnold. We love you.
I love coming here.
It is my favourite time of day. It is wine time, and joining us new for Series 2 is Ruth Wiles of the Clifton Wine School. Welcome, Ruth.
Thank you very much, Dina.
And you have Fizz to celebrate the new series?
I do, yes. 3 different types of fizz.
Good woman.
Yes, the more the merrier. We have Prosecco, Cava, and also some champagne.
Oh, lovely. So what should we start with? Should we start with the Prosecco?
Prosecco would be best to start with, because Prosecco is the lightest flavour of all of them. So just have a little taste of that. It's actually called Romeo and Juliet Prosecco, but it's not actually made in Verona, but the company was founded in Verona. But it's northern Italy in the foothills of the mountains.
Okay.
Where it's nice and cool, so you can make sparkling wine that's light and delicate there.
Good.
You can buy it from Majestic Wine, this one.
Okay, all right.
It's normally on some kind of good offer. If you smell it, taste it, it's very delicate, it's light.
It's really easy to drink, isn't it? She says golden.
Dangerously.
Oh, it's very easy. It slips down ever so nice. So we're on to Cava next.
This is the Taste the Difference Cava. The Sainsbury's one.
Well, I'll be the judge of that, if we can taste the difference. Lovely, thank you.
There we go.
So this is Sainsbury's.
It's Sainsbury's. So obviously Sainsbury's are not out in Spain making Cava themselves. They pay someone else to do it. It's produced by Codorniu. So it's actually made by one of the top Cava producers, but then Sainsbury's put their label on it.
Now, I've said this before, but I have had a few Cava hangovers. So the first sip always transports me to that place of the worst hangover ever.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. So I'll have a sniff and see. Oh, you did well.
Thank you.
I can taste the difference.
You can taste the difference. TTD.
Next is the champagne.
Yes. So champagne is the classic, obviously. Sparkling wine. Most of the time people think of champagne as being really expensive. This one is just over £10. So
wow.
Really, really cheap for champagne, considering the price of most champagnes. However, last year in November, it did come in third in a competition for the best buy champagnes, and it beat Laurent Perrier and it beat Moet and Chandon.
So I love Aldi and Lidl for their wine range. Are you a fan as well?
I am, and you occasionally get a dud bottle, but generally speaking you get really good value for money. They've won awards across all of their different wine ranges.
Well, let's have a sniff, shall we? Smells like champagne.
Good. It's got that really nice sort of yeasty quality that you get from champagne.
Yeah, and very grapey.
Very grapey, yes.
Grapey. So it actually tastes a bit like...
It's quite rare for wine to actually taste the grapes after it's been fermented.
This is a good one if you've forgotten an anniversary.
Yes.
Which my other half might like to take note. And it's £10, so it's quite good for...
It's not going to break the bank.
Yeah.
Champagne for everyone as opposed to champagne for people that can afford it.
If I had to choose a favourite, I'm going to say the champagne.
I would agree with you. Champagne is the best.
It is good. It puts you in mind of weddings and
Celebration.
a real, lovely celebrations. What's been your worst ever fizz-related hangover, do you think?
Oh goodness, it must be from a wedding, I think.
I can't remember one half of my 44th birthday.
Oh my word.
Yeah. That's just gone, by the way.
That's impressive.
Just like to add that. But yeah, and that's thanks to champagne and to Carver. But you know what, Ruth? I think you've put me back on track. I think I can stomach fizz again.
Back to the champagne.
I'm going to give you a toast. Thank you for that. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Sally, that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you for joining us and see you next week.